Man. Oh, it's been a while since I've done anything like this. Wow, any content of this sort. But before I even get into it, I want to make a disclaimer. This is not any shape or form me trying to give any type of advice or anything along those lines. And you will see me kind of looking at my phone because I can be a bit of a yapper, but I want to keep this very concise and thorough at the same time. So yeah, as you can see, I was, just been reading this book for probably the second, third time now, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And I tend to be a very pensive person, just as Eileen Gu has said, the Olympic gold medalist, shout out to her. And I just had some thoughts that kind of my mind was pondering on, and I felt like it was just right for me to kind of share this. It's been kind of pressed upon me to kind of really share this, and let's get into it, man. But again, this is not any advice or anything of that nature. We'll title this like a public journal that I decided to share with the internet today. So I've been reading the Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and in that book, if you skip forward to part 2, he's interviewing what many people would consider, the enemy, in other terms. And as he's interviewing the enemy, that entity wanted to make sure that it has clearly shown or clearly explained its image compared to what the world may think, right? And that just being the opposite side of good, right? The opposite side of that coin. So when you think of evil, we might have personified it, give it some type of specific image, but evil is just simply the negative force to all things, right? To every good, there's an evil. To every good, there's a bad. In some cultures, it's called the yin and the yang. And as I was kind of, thinking on that, when we think of even the smartest particle in our nature, in our world, like the atom cannot exist without both sides of the forces that make the atom. And of course, the neutral force as well, right? So now, in that interview, that entity, or the enemy, as some may call it, speaks on the fact that fear is just also, when I think of what's one of the most negative emotions or negative things that we have as mankind, and it's fear. And it speaks on the fact that fear is just that negative side of the coin. Fear is just also a man-made manifestation of our thoughts, let's say, and I'm thinking of that, and that kind of directly took me to what my spiritual resource book would be. And many times in that book, and I could be wrong, you guys could correct me, of course, but in that book it says, as it's stated, one of the most consistently stated phrases is, do not be afraid, right? So as my mind was pondering, I'm thinking of that, and I'm processing, it's like, okay, it started to wander off into the trading world. Because I've been trading now, has gone on 7 years. This summer is going to be 7 years. Forex, futures, indices, whatever you name it, crypto, whatever the case may be. And in the trading industry, there's a term that sometimes we like to say, which is FOMO. FOMO just stands for fear of missing out. And when I think of that, being somebody that's growing in my faith and aiming to be a more faithful individual in all things that I do, faith and fear are the same thing. You probably have heard it before. It's just two different sides of the spectrum. Now, when you think about it, those negative thoughts, in the book, it also says this, that the negative thoughts that we have come from our inability to adapt ourselves to nature's laws. And that kind of just it just had my mind pondering, And I asked myself, as my mind was just having its pensive moments, if we're looking to move in faith and not fear, what does that even look like? In the Hebrews, it says faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But at the same time, two things could be true, right? Two things could be true at the same time, in the sense of, if something is not seen, yes, you're hoping for it to manifest in its reality, but at the same time, it could also be something that has been seen, not from the physical eye, but the spiritual eye, right? But I won't even get too much into that, right? So it's crazy because I haven't even done this kind of content in quite some time, and my mind is just it's just pondering and pensive. And it really just had me, it went from the trading aspect to the mind being the most powerful thing. The mind, the power of thought, is the only thing that separates us from any other animal, We could be like just all other animals, but because of the power of thought, that is what actually separates us as human beings. So now when I think of that, and I think of that in the trading world, I'm like, what does trading with faith look like? That looks like me having actual patience for what I've studied to play out. Me having actual patience, because faith and patience could be two on the same thing. Me having actual patience to wait for what I'm looking for to occur, rather than having that FOMO, which is the lack of faith, or the fear in other terms. And then my mind just kind of jumped from the trading aspect as to how this could relate to real life. And I just started to think of relationships. And I'm just like, yo, how many times do we see ourselves settling for something, or settling for certain individuals for what we see on the outside, rather than feeling patient enough, or being patient enough, or having that faith and believing that that individual that actually aligns with who we are as a being will come along. And then it went to, okay, how many times have we actually felt like, okay, this is the best that I've ever encountered? And it makes sense. Sometimes you come across, or there might be a relationship, man and woman alike, where you're dealing with, or you're in a relationship that's been the best that you've actually ever had. But at the same time, we're not the best that we can be yet. So how can we expect that we've attracted the best that there is to come? That's just lack of faith, not being patient enough, knowing that there's more to come. So my mind was just kind of racing and just thinking, and it just started kind of getting to that point of like, me being a believer, and I believe in the creator, the divine God, whatever you want to call it. We weren't put on this planet to live in lack, or live in settling, or live in this is what I just can get. We were put on this earth to live in abundance, and that's my belief. You could believe any other thing, but we were put on this planet, or this earth, to live in abundance and to have all that it is that we want to obtain, not just what we can get. So when I think of that, that's just had me, like, my mind again jumping and processing us being spiritual beings within a physical vehicle, God's creation, experiencing creation. Like my mind just kept on just processing, and usually I don't share. It's been a while, like I said, it's been a while since I've dropped this kind of content. But something was imposed on me today while I was just having these thoughts, to make sure that I actually, that I just share this with the world. And this is, again, in no way, shape, or form me trying to give any type of advice, especially in this season of Lent. I've been practicing holding my tongue. But something just said, like, yo, get on the camera, do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the vibes. And at the same time, though, I have to end on this, like, faith without works is dead. And it says that in James, the book of James. You can have all the faith in the world that you want, but faith without works is actually dead. And now when you think of that, that comes along with practice, right? Now, Kevin Trudeau, he speaks on, people say, oh, practice makes perfect, but that's not true. Perfect practice allows you to have the potential to then have mastery, because you could be practicing the wrong things, and you're only leading yourself to whatever that result looks like. So now many times think of it where, where people might be practicing some of the wrong habits, and they think I'm practice all the time. But like Kobe Bryant wasn't practicing, shots that he knew he couldn't make. He was working on the details to make sure that he was practicing the right things every single day. So like Kevin Trudeau says, perfect practice makes perfect. And honestly, being that I'm in Germany now, I would love to be able to kind of express this in German. Es tut mir leid, dass ich kann nicht so viel reden, oder ich habe nicht die ganze Vokabular für diese richtig sagen, aber vielleicht nächste Mal in die nächste Video. You know what I'm saying? But y'all know the vibe. CP, the real C Porter, the one and only. I'm out of here.